guys, greetings from isolation due to coronavirus. Not that I have the virus, I've been told to stay in until further notice due to having underlying conditions. So I've just had a knock on my window, and my friend just stuck her head sort of past the window to say she'd left me a present on my doorstep. So we had a quick conversation about the fact her university courses had to make some major changes because now the schools and things are closed here. So I'll just go and see what we've been left on our doorstep. And we have a paper bag on the doorstep, and excuse my weird feet, and I'm trying to reach the bag now, and ooh, looks exciting. And ooh, this is my new instant hot water dispenser because the kettle was leaking water out of the bottom. So I was very impressed with eBay actually. It delivered my parcel less than 24 hours after I ordered it, so that's really good. So now I'm just going to get it ready to make a cup of tea so I can take my morning medication. You put your cup onto the base like so, then you press the on button and wait for it to warm up. There's a blue light that tells you that, or green light to tell you there's a, apparently, to tell you there's a, that the water is going to go in the right place. And now you see the water, and I'll keep my hand on the button until we're nearly at the beginning. And there we have it, 1 cup of tea. I'll just go and get the milk for the morning medicine. I take these about 3 times a day, and some extra things if pain breaks through, but other than that at the moment they're my regulars. But here in the UK, people who are vulnerable to infections and who have underlying health conditions, such as me, because I have both things, and we've been asked to socially isolate for the foreseeable future. So I went out on Monday. There was absolutely nothing in the shops. I was utterly horrified at the level of selfishness I saw. I went out to get my prescription because obviously there was only me to go and get it because my dad was at work. So I went out with a mask on. But I'm not going to go out again unless it's to a hospital appointment, one of which I have in a few weeks' time, so I don't know. And that will be because it's something that can't, something that I have to have, and it can't be put off because you'll become really ill otherwise. I don't know quite how it's going to work. I'm amazed at the level of selfishness I've seen in the shops, people panic buying. I went out to buy some wipes to help manage my stomach care, and there was not a baby wipe to be had in the place. Luckily, I was able to pick up some facial wipes, and they seem to be working okay, and I'll have enough to last until next week, when hopefully I've managed to locate some. I think there'll be some available on eBay, and Home Bargain said they'll be having some more in stock soon, so that should solve that problem. And if the worst came to the worst, I could use a washcloth, except that seems to make my skin more raw, so it's much easier for me to use baby wipes that I've found. So we'll have to see how that goes. I've got plenty of food in currently, except for I've got about 2 pints of milk left, which should last me until next week, and then my dad can drop me some in. And I do have a carer that comes a few times in the week, and later I'll be having a financial assessment to see if I can get my level of care increased. So the social worker was hinting that he's going to ask for 17 hours a week. So that will be spread across the 7 days, and I'm going to have something called direct payments in the UK, so you can employ who you like to be your personal assistant or PCA. I've got all the stuff out on my table for the financial assessment. Hopefully they would normally come out to your house, but due to this isolation situation at the moment, they're doing everything over the phone, and then they'll send an envelope out and you have to send bank statements and, like, I suppose receipts for pads and receipts for things that you have to spend, and then they make a financial calculation based on that. So that will be an interesting thing to have, because last time I had it was a slight disaster and I didn't end up receiving any care at all. So I'm hoping that things work out better now. So I'll let you know how that goes later. I was speaking to one of my mum's friends yesterday, and she visits her friend who's also in a residential care, or normally visits her friend that's also in a residential care home. However, visits to residential care homes have been stopped now because of the pandemic, and she was worried about her friend experiencing sort of loneliness and isolation, because all she'd have to speak to was the staff. So she decided to do something old-fashioned, but I think is a really good idea, and that is to put pen to paper and send or a letter to her friend a couple of times a week with a bit of news of what's going on in the world, to try and keep them both connected. And I think this is a really good idea. If any of you have got grandparents and things in social isolation, then if you can't send them an email, if they're not like tech savvy, and if they struggle with hearing and need you to be in the same room as them to have a conversation and things, you might want to send them just a good old-fashioned letter. And these can brighten your day. I like getting a letter or a postcard myself, and I think it's really good to think of those who are not able to get out and are even more isolated in their usual isolated positions, such as those in residential care, some of whom who won't have families and who just rely on the staff, who haven't always got the time to sort of spend a lot of time being, you know, very friendly and coming away from the work that they're doing. So it's a good idea to think about maybe sending letters, maybe put a bit of a care package together of a few treats and drop things off if anything can be found in the shops. But you know, it's such a good idea indeed. I just quickly wanted to talk a bit about the provision for pets and animals during the coronavirus crisis. Because of all this panic buying, and I want to urge people to stop massively hoarding and stockpiling things. I'm going to show you what I've done to make limited preparations for my own isolation so that my cats are provided for. Underneath my work counter, my workbench, I've got 2 boxes of Whisker's cat food, just to make sure the cats are fed. I'm not so bothered about me, I'm always more bothered about them being fed properly. And I've got to order some dry biscuits for them soon as well. But people have been panic buying everything, so I ordered a couple of boxes, hopefully it should be about a month's supply of food, and I can reassess the situation then. And I hope people haven't gone bunker obsessed and bought out all the cat food going. I've already had to send some cat food to a friend because she's been unable to source some, so I'm trying not to be a selfish hoarder and help out people where I can with what I've got in stock.